Let's bring in Major General Dennis Thompson, who knows the region very well. He was posted in the Middle East for a number of years. He's joining us now from our bureau in Ottawa. Good to see you, and I appreciate you taking the time, General Thompson. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Todd. Good to be here.
All right, so your immediate reaction to this news?
Well, it's clearly good news. This gentleman, if we can call him that, was responsible for the death of 1,200 Israelis and for the hostages that are still being held inside of the Gaza Strip, and he is potentially one of the roadblocks between a ceasefire between Hamas and Israel. So I think it's good news. There will no doubt be another Hamas leader appointed, but as you mentioned in the run-up to this interview, it's quite possible that that person will be a little bit more amenable to a negotiated ceasefire.
Does it mean anything in sort of the immediate term to the ongoing fighting in Gaza, General Thompson?
One would hope that Israel will take this opportunity to declare victory because in essence, they have said that they wanted to completely eliminate Hamas's military ability, capability, which is not really a realistic goal. But by taking out this leader who is so notorious amongst Israelis and amongst world leaders, I think they have an opportunity here to press for a ceasefire should they so desire and get their hostages released. But no doubt there'll still be an exchange of some kind. And there's always the fly in the ointment, which had been that Yahya Sinwar insisted that Israel leave the Philadelphia corridor. He's not there anymore, so perhaps that one sticking point that Israel had is removed.
What does it say about the Israeli military and intelligence capabilities, General Thompson?
Well, it's taken them a year to find Yahya Sinwar. So they're definitely persistent, and certainly this looks like more of a targeted operation than some of the other ones that have been reported recently, where there's been an awful lot of collateral damage and civilian casualties. In this particular case, it appears, and again, we don't have all the details, it appears that Yahya Sinwar was taken out in a more surgical fashion. And that indicates that Israel's intelligence collection ability has not been degraded significantly in the Gaza Strip.
What some people may not know is that Sinwar, in addition to his native Arabic, also spoke Hebrew. And one of the reasons he spoke Hebrew is because he was in prison for 22 years by Israel as a result of some of the things he had done before, of course, he became leader of Hamas. And he often used that to try and understand Israeli culture and what was going on in that country, even if he didn't believe that Israel should exist. It was sort of one of these know thy enemy situations, I think it's fair to say. Your thoughts on whether it's realistic to think whoever takes over will be more moderate?
It's very difficult to speculate on which way the new Hamas leadership will fall. I think there's been a great deal of suffering. I don't think. We all know there's been a great deal of suffering inside of the Gaza Strip. It is important to note that Yahya Sinwar was exchanged as part of the 1,000 prisoners that were released when they exchanged for Gilad Shalit in 2011, if I've got the date right, before he became the leader of Hamas. The fact that now they're not obviously going to ask for 1,000 prisoners to be exchanged for every one of the Israeli captives that are still inside the Gaza Strip, but I think that this puts them in a position where they can negotiate and perhaps get to a ceasefire agreement not that dissimilar to the one that we had last November. Which would be obviously to everyone's benefit.
Yeah, of course. What about the hostages? What does it mean for those still being held by Hamas?
Well, if we assume that Yahya Sinwar is at the hard end, the more extreme end of the Hamas leadership, then this means that there's scope for them to negotiate with the Israelis and get this hostage for prisoner exchange rolling in order to move the ceasefire along and to get to the next stage of the negotiations that need to occur in order to end the conflict between Hamas and Israel. And remember, Israel has been trying to de-link the conflict in the north with Hezbollah from the one in the south with Hamas. So this may well prove to be that opportunity.
General Thompson, great to see you. Appreciate you taking the time to get to our studios there in Ottawa today to do this interview.
Good to see you. Thanks, Todd.